Welcome, wrestling fans, to this WWE show review on Tim Reynolds Show. Make sure you hit that like button as I'm reviewing the Monday Night Raw on November 11, 2024 from Grand Rapids, Michigan. And this Raw would be kicked off with the World Heavyweight Champion Gunther as he comes out to the middle of the ring to address the crowd in the WWE Universe. And he would say that nothing else matters because he's still the World Heavyweight Champion. And he's not looking towards his past. He's looking towards the future and looking at his number one contender for the World Heavyweight Championship, and that would be Damian Priest after he won the Fatal 4-Way match last week on Monday Night Raw to become the number one contender. And then it would not be long before Damian Priest would come out to face Gunther face to face, saying that he wants to see if Gunther will say what he has to say about him right to his face. And before Gunther could get a word out, Damian Priest would tell Gunther, "I think I know exactly what you're gonna say about me, that I'm street trash, that my family didn't raise me the right way, that I struggled all my life to get here to where I'm at. But you know what, man? You know, one thing I know about you is that you've had an aura, a vibe about you since you've been here, especially every single time you got in the ring. I seen it. I tell you guys that for sure. I ain't gonna lie. But man, since our match at SummerSlam, that aura, that vibe has been gone. And I know why. That's because you know deep down that I can beat you inside this ring, and that the only reason you're standing there as World Heavyweight Champion is because Finn Balor cost me that match. So brother, you watch out, because I'm coming back for my World Heavyweight title." And as Gunther would go to clap back at Damian Priest after this happened, Priest would say, "What are you gonna do? You're not gonna do anything. I'll tell you that, because if you were gonna do something, I'd already be laid out in the middle of this ring. I know you, Gunther. You've lost it, man. You ain't got that aura or that vibe that you used to have anymore. And it's because you're scared, because you know I can beat you." And then we would see Ludwig Kaiser, the right-hand man for Gunther, the World Heavyweight Champion, come out to defend Gunther. But we would see Gunther did not like this very much, as he also hit the mic and clapped back angrily at Ludwig, who would also get angry, saying, "No, this street trash Damian Priest is not going to talk to the World Heavyweight Champion like that, especially when Gunther's already beat him one-on-one, and he'll do it again in the next match the next time." And then Damian Priest would hit Ludwig Kaiser with a right hand, and as we looked at Gunther looking as if he was going to attack while Damian Priest's back was turned, we actually seen a new side of Gunther as he stepped back, almost hesitated too much to attack, and he would get out the ring looking a little scared and confused, a sort of look from Gunther that we've never seen before in the WWE, as Damian Priest looks to make a statement before his number one contender match for the World Heavyweight Championship. And what a way to kick off Monday Night Raw. And then next up after this, guys, after we see this confrontation from the number one contender to the World Heavyweight Champion, we see backstage as Kofi Kingston would be talking to R-Truth, thanking him for helping out him and Xavier Woods a few weeks ago in their match against Final Testament, but also apologizing for not helping out R-Truth after Karrion Kross and the Final Testament were attacking R-Truth after their match. And then we would see Woods come around the corner saying, "Hey guys, what are you talking about?" And as Kofi went to go tell him, Pete Dunne would come and have a problem with R-Truth, talking a bunch of smack about what R-Truth was saying about him, calling him butch and whatnot. And then he would turn around as Kofi would be like, "Hey, do we have a problem here?" And Pete Dunne would say, "Yeah, you want a problem here? What you gonna do about it?" And Woods would sort of speak for Kofi Kingston, saying, "No, there's not a problem here, man." And then Kofi would say, "Hey, Woods, you know, you're not going to speak for me, man. What are you doing?" And then Pete Dunne would say, "Oh, does he speak for you now?" And Kofi would say, "Nah, and if you got a problem, let's go handle it out in the ring." And Pete Dunne would accept the challenge, and we would see Kofi Kingston go one-on-one with Pete Dunne later on this Monday Night Raw. And guys, next up here, we would see our first match of the evening, as we would have a 6-woman tag team match, as we would see Damage Control, Io Sky, Kairi Sane, and Dakota Kai take on the team of Pure Fusion Collective. And that would be the team of Shayna Baszler, Zoe Stark, and Sonya Deville. And an incredible match in this one, as we would see Io Sky get the victory for her team, as she now continues her momentum after she she won the #1 contendership battle royal, and she is now the #1 contender for the Women's World Championship. And then next backstage, we would see honorary Uce, Sami Zayn, back with the original Bloodline members, the Usos, Jimmy and Jay, and Roman Reigns, as we've seen the video from what happened on Friday night. And on this Monday Night Raw, backstage, we see the hand clap, the special hand signal there, the hand clap there that Jey Uso and Sami Zayn do, their special handshake, if you will. And main event, Jey Uso and Sami would be confronted by Jimmy Uso, who comes in going, what? And Jay would be like, hey, come on, guys, we got to make sure we stay on the same page, man. Let's do this. And Jimmy would ask, hey, guys, we need to figure out who the 5th member is going to be before we get to War Games. And Sami would actually say, I got an idea. And Jimmy would go, really? You got an idea? And Sami would say, yeah, I got an idea. I got someone in mind. But Jay, I'll text you. Okay, I ain't not Jimmy. I'm gonna text you, Jay. And what a weird confrontation backstage as Jimmy and Jay are trying to get on the same page with Sami and hopefully find a 5th member for their team before Survivor Series War Games, where we will see the original Bloodline, Roman Reigns, Jimmy Uso, and Jey Uso team up with Sami Zayn going up against Solo Sikoa and his new Bloodline. But both of these teams still need to find a 5th member, which would play along on this Monday Night Raw after we've seen this backstage confrontation, if you will, and conversation. And then next up after this, guys, we would see Judgment Day as they were backstage sort of talking about what's been happening with them as Liv Morgan and Raquel were getting ready for their women's tag team match coming up later in the night as they would challenge for the women's WWE Tag Team Championships against Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair in the main event of Monday Night Raw. But then Finn Balor would clap back after hearing Liv saying they're going to win all the gold and be on top. Well, Judgment Day member Finn Balor doesn't think so, because he would clap back by saying, well, not the World Heavyweight Championship. Dom, unfortunately, didn't win last week, and now Damian Priest is in line for a #1 contender shot at the World Heavyweight title, just like I asked you not to do, Dom. And then Dom would clap right back at Finn Balor saying, hey, don't get mad at me because I became a lot closer to becoming World Heavyweight Champion than you have in a while, and also saying that he's beat Damian Priest before. And Finn Balor did not like this, as Liv and Raquel and everybody else of the Judgment Day have to split these two up, as we are starting to see some conflict and some cracks here in the Judgment Day faction. But Finn Balor would say, hey, no, you're right, Liv, we are family, and because we're family, we have each other's backs and we help each other out, right? So how about this? How about Carlito and Dom? You guys help out me and JD McDonough and teach the War Raiders what the Judgment Day is really about, because the War Raiders are the #1 contenders for their World Tag Team titles, so they think Dom and Carlito should teach them a lesson. And Dom would say, I can make that official. Let me go talk to General Manager Adam Pearce. And what a weird backstage interview there, or backstage confrontation we've seen from Judgment Day after that. And then next up, we would see an interview with Bronson Reed. Actually, Reed coming out to the ring to sort of do his own call out of Seth freaking Rollins. This after Bronson Reed wrecked the Fatal 4-Way match last week and also wrecked Seth Rollins' chances for becoming the #1 contender for the World Heavyweight Championship. So Bronson Reed would come out to call out the visionary, the revolutionary Seth freaking Rollins, and he would oblige as he would come out and doesn't say a word. These two just start fighting and beating the hell out of one another before security and everybody tries to get these guys separated. And then after they finally get these two off of each other and separated backstage, we would see Seth freaking Rollins yelling and begging General Manager Adam Pearce to give him a match against Bronson Reed to finish this, his words. And we would see Adam Pearce getting mad, saying he is done with this. This is it. You want the match? You got it. Finish it. It's done. End it now. And next week on Monday Night Raw, it will be Seth freaking Rollins going one-on-one with Big Bronson Reed. And guys, what a Monday Night Raw up until this point. And then we would see, after this sort of meeting between General Manager Adam Pearce and Seth Rollins, we would see Sami Zayn as he would come up and really have an issue there with Seth Rollins actually trying to talk to him, because Seth is the guy that Sammy picked to hopefully be their 5th member coming in to help out Roman Reigns. And Seth would look at Sammy like, are you crazy? And this is where it would turn into a confrontation where Seth was like, you got to be out of your mind. I will never, ever team up with Roman Reigns or help him out again. And neither should you after what he's done to you. You're somehow brainwashed here, man. I don't know how you ended up in this scenario, but no, man, I'm not going to help you. As Sami Zayn is trying to recruit for not only the Usos and Roman Reigns, but for their team at War Games for Survivor Series. And then next up after this, guys, we would have our next match of the night, and that would be Damian Priest going one-on-one with Ludwig Kaiser. And we would see a really, really good back and forth matchup between these two, and this will be the first time that Ludwig Kaiser took on Damian Priest in a singles matchup, but Priest would get the victory in this one, and as Gunther would come out to stare down his opponent, we would see a look of confusion and fear upon the face of the World Heavyweight Champion, a new look that we have not seen before. Wow, what Damian Priest is really getting in the head of the World Heavyweight Champion. And then next up after this, guys, we would see a backstage interview with Braun Breaker, the Intercontinental Champion, after he was really in a big speed match for WWE Speed and the WWE Speed title on X. And oh man, he faced Sheamus and had one hell of a match, but both of them would run out of time with a time limit matchup that they had. But in this interview, he would call Sheamus old, saying if it wasn't for that old bozo getting in his way, he would have 2 titles on his shoulders. But then Sheamus would overhear what Braun Breaker was saying and come and have a few words for the rookie, if you will, or the young buck on the roster, as Braun Breaker would call Sheamus old. So Sheamus would come back and say, oh yeah, man, I've been here for about 15 years. What have you been here for? About 15 minutes? But hey, since you want to talk all that smack, how about you put your money where your mouth is and you put that title on the line against this old timer next week on Monday Night Raw? And we would get that match as Breaker accepts the challenge, saying, I don't know what you said, dude, but I'll take it. And after Sheamus tried to give him some words of wisdom, we're going to see these two battle it out next week on Monday Night Raw. And then next up after this, guys, we also see Jimmy Uso try to approach Braun Breaker on possibly joining and helping them out for Roman's team at Survivor Series War Games, huh? We don't know. We just kind of left to see Jimmy talking to him, and we'll have to wait to find out, as Jimmy, Jay, and Sammy are doing a lot of recruiting. That's right. We even seen Jay in the background of one of these interviews as Big Bronson Reed was coming up early in the show talking to Rey Mysterio, who looked to turn him down as well. I wonder what's going to happen with the Usos and Sammy and Roman, if they're going to be able to find anybody to help them out at Survivor Series War Games and join their team. And then next up after this, guys, we would have The Miz backstage being confronted by Karrion Kross in the Final Testament, as AOP looked like they were going to break some legs, but instead they drag Miz out to the ring, beat him up, bloody his eye just a little bit, and as they're calling, saying, stop lying to us and tell us where the Wyatt Six is right now, the lights would go out and the Wyatt Six would show up. But as it turns out, it was a setup all along, as The Miz was playing the Wyatt Six after he said earlier that the Wyatt Six and him had settled their beef and settled their business, and that he was no longer going to be around asking for General Manager Adam Pearce to give him a leave of absence. That would all be a lie, as the business would not be settled with the Wyatt Six, as Karrion Kross and AOP and The Miz would attack the Wyatt Six. The Miz using a chair, Karrion Kross beating down Uncle Howie and the rest of the Wyatt Six, as AOP would also lay down a big beat down. But at the end of this, as Karrion Kross and the Final Testament and The Miz walked away thinking they made a huge statement, it would be Uncle Howdy who was there laughing again, thinking that he all knew this was coming. He's seen the double cross, and now we'll see that the Wyatt Six knows who their next victims and opponents will be. And I can't wait to see what happens future future in this storyline on Monday Night Raw. And then next up after this, guys, we would see outside the arena as Seth Rollins was leaving, but he would be asked to be interviewed there, asking what he thought about his match next week against Big Bronson Reed after all the events that have turned out here tonight. And then it would be Solo Sikoa and the New Bloodline out in the parking lot trying to recruit Seth Rollins themselves to their Survivor Series team on War Games. And oh my goodness, this did not go well for Solo, as Solo would pitch to Rollins, hey, you hate Roman, I hate Roman, how about you come be the fifth member and help us end Roman altogether forever, once and for all. And that would be Seth Rollins telling Solo that he will never team with Roman Reigns ever again inside the ring for as long as he lives, and that the next time him and Roman get in the same ring, he's gonna curb stomp him and beat him down. So with that being said, why would he want to be with a Roman Reigns wannabe? Oh my goodness, what an insult to Solo Sikoa, the new tribal chief, at least as he says. And as Jacob Fatu wanted to attack Rollins, we would see Solo hold him off and say, hey, that's fine, man. As Rollins walks away, giving the answer of no to Solo Sikoa. We'll have to wait to see who Solo Sikoa and the New Bloodline are able to recruit for their team, as they're looking for a fifth member for Survivor Series War Games. And then next up after this, guys, we would have our main event of the evening, as the WWE Women's Tag Team Championships would be on the line, as the champions Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair would defend their championships against the challengers Liv Morgan, the Women's World Champion, and Raquel Rodriguez. And after an amazing back and forth match, it would not be long before we would see Nia Jax, that's right, the WWE Women's Champion, and Tiffany Stratton, Miss Money in the Bank, would come out to try to sabotage Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair in this matchup, but it would not work, after we would see some backup for Jade and Bianca, as Io Sky and Naomi would come out to even the score, and we got chaos going around the ring everywhere. But Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair were able to take advantage in all the chaos and get the victory over Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez, and retain their WWE Women's Tag Team Championships. And that was an epic way to end this Monday Night Raw in the main event. And this has been your WWE show review on Tim Reynolds Show. Make sure you guys like and subscribe to the channel, and let me know in the comments what you guys thought of this Monday Night Raw and what you guys think of the upcoming WWE Survivor Series War Games, as the match card is being set up and the storylines are playing out right in front of us. WWE Universe, thank you for liking and subscribing to Tim Reynolds Show. Thank you guys so much. Peace out, everybody.